Hey, subscribe to the channel.
What is going on? Today I'm back. We're going to start knocking these out, I promise. Raiders, 7-round mock draft. They just re-signed guys like Richie Incognito to a year deal. I think they re-signed Denzel Good. So they kind of addressed them losing all their O-linemen. They brought some guys back. I may look a little different. I got a haircut, shaved. I still got my 4 chins like always, but we're back, and let's go ahead and hop right into this. Raiders 7-round mock draft. They have a good amount of picks, I believe. Let's see who's available at pick 17. All right, this pick for the Raiders, I'd say before they signed Ngakoue, you probably could have considered Jalen Phillips, and I would have considered Jalen Phillips heavily. You could consider interior D-line, but I think we'd wait for another pick. Right now, I'm between Owusu Koramoah, an O-lineman, or a safety, but I don't think Moehrig is the pick at 17. He's good, but I think there's a lot of talent second, third round. So I think you need an offensive tackle. Who's the right tackle? Brandon Parker, I think, is like who it's listed as right now, and that's just not going to cut it. To have Gruden's offense, you can't have no O-line. So I'm going to go with Tevin Jenkins. I'm assuming they let everyone go because they like someone in the first round at O-tackle, whether that be Mayfield or Cosme or Jenkins. I'm going to go with Tevin Jenkins. I think he's the best right tackle of these guys. Mayfield probably a close second. Cosme more of a left tackle. But Jenkins kind of helps them out on that O-line because you lost a lot of pieces this offseason. You traded Trent Brown, which means, to me, that tells me you like someone in the draft at tackle or you're signing somebody, but they haven't signed anyone as I record this. So I'm going to go with Tevin Jenkins. All right, with this pick, it basically comes down to 3 positions for me. Interior O-line again, although you did sign Denzel Good. I think you signed Nick Martin, unless he was already on the team, but I feel like he was a Texan. And you signed Richie Incognito. So you kind of signed 3 guys to deals. I think at least 2 of the 3 you signed to deals. So Creed Humphrey, yeah, he's probably the best center in the class, unless I'm completely forgetting about somebody. Yeah, Josh Myers is second. Creed Humphrey, I think, is the best center, but I don't think you take him here. Now, you go to linebacker, you got guys like Jabril Cox, Jermaine Davis. They got guys like Nick Kwiatkowski, Corey Littleton, or is it Cody? I think it's Corey. It's one of the 2. And so you could use linebacker help, but to me, I'm going to go with a player, or you could use interior D-line as well, Davion Nixon, but they signed David Irving, Solomon Thomas, they got Jonathan Hankins, Maurice Hurst, at interior D-line right now. You could put Cleveland Ferrell in there when you have Crosby and Ngakoue on the edges. They signed a lot of guys to 1-year deals, which makes me believe they're not going to go interior D-line in the second round. You could, and it wouldn't shock me. But personally, with all the signings and 1-year deals they made at that position, they're trying to find someone through free agency and not through the draft. And they haven't focused on a safety. They've cut LaMarcus Joyner, which tells me, A, someone in the draft. B, they haven't signed anyone at safety, which also tells me someone in the draft. C, you have Jeff Heath there. You need to draft somebody. And Abrams, even as good as he is, or as much as I like Jonathan Abrams and I liked him coming out, he's an in-the-box safety, so you need a guy over the top who can be the free safety center fielder for your defense. And I look a lot at guys for their 2019 season in this draft, some more than 2020. Like, example, I'm talking about him a lot. Marvin Wilson, terrible 2020. If he opted out, or if he went to the draft his junior year, he was a early first round pick. That's how good he was his junior season. Terrible this past year in a COVID year. That's why I'm taking stock in his 2019 tape. I think he's good. His 2020 tape isn't good, but his 2019 tape is. Now, Javon Holland's the guy who opted out of 2020. He didn't play in 2020, but he was really, really good in 2019. And he's the center fielder that I think the Raiders are looking for to go over the top of that defense, protect deep, but also come up and make tackles in the run game. I like Javon Holland a lot, and I think he's better value than Moehrig at 17, and you get Holland at 48, I think that's the best possible pick for the Raiders. If I was a Raiders fan, I'd love Javon Holland. I'm just saying that. I think he is an incredible player who opted out of 2020, so he's not talked about, and he might slip down boards, but if you look at his 2019 tape, you're going to see you got a good player. We have back-to-back picks coming up here, 79 and 80. I'm not sure how they got them, but I assume there's a reason. We do have back-to-back picks, so I'm going to give you my thought process here on a few guys. So, Josh Myers, you could potentially take to be your center. I talked about that last round with Creed Humphrey. In terms of linebackers, you got Pete Werner, Chaz Surratt. All of these guys I'm listing, I'm going to take 2 of them. I just don't know who yet, I'll be honest. You could take Sean Wade to be your nickel corner, but you have Amik Robertson, who I actually kind of like. I'm not sure how much playing time he got last year, but I liked him coming out of the draft, so hopefully they like him too, because I'm not going to draft a corner because of him. If he played like shit, I apologize. I don't watch Raiders football that much. Safety we already took. Wide receiver, you have Henry Ruggs, you have John Brown, you have Hunter Renfrow. Thing with all those guys, they're all 5 or under 6 foot tall. You got Brian Edwards. I think the first pick, and I'll decide in the second one, is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think 3rd round pick, great value, could be a starting wide receiver day 1 on your roster. He could start over John Brown, but I think you probably let him develop as the number 4 for a year. And then, I'm not sure what John Brown's contract is. Let me check. So, like I thought, you got John Brown in a 1-year deal, and you can take Amon-Ra St. Brown. Once John Brown's 1-year deal is done, you got Ruggs, Renfrow, and St. Brown, and Edwards, guys like that. I'm going to take St. Brown first, and I'll see who we take next. Okay, so for the second pick, I was really considering Josh Myers, but I just looked up when they signed Nick Martin, because I knew he was a Texan. And they signed him literally 16 hours ago. So I don't know the length of the deal. It's not on Spot Rack yet. So we don't know how many years, how much money it's for. Under the assumption that it's going to be a multi-year deal, I'm not going to take Josh Myers. That's just an assumption, though. I think you could easily take Josh Myers with this pick, and I'm not against taking Josh Myers with this pick. However, I think I'm going to go linebacker, and now it comes down to Pete Werner or Chaz Surratt. This is a really tough pick for me, I'm going to be honest. Because I do think Dylan Moses could eventually get... He's like Mac Wilson, who somehow went in the 5th round and is actually a pretty good player. But I think Pete Werner is the best Sam linebacker on the board. And you want to move Abram back to strong safety, which I think you do, and keep him at safety because you got Heath and Abram. You can't afford to have Abram in the box because who's your other safety right now? You let Joyner go. So that's why we drafted Holland. I think you move Abram back. You take a strong side linebacker here. For me, I do like Dylan Moses, and we probably could take someone else here and get Dylan Moses later. But I think Pete Werner is the best Sam linebacker available. He can play strong side for you. He's not going to play the weak side. That's going to be more for guys like Kwiatkowski, Littleton. But works in a 4-3 scheme as a Sam. I think he's a good scheme fit for the Raiders, and he fills a need that can allow Abram to move back to safety. We're really doing this again. I was looking at tight end because they have Foster Moreau and Darren Waller, but Foster Moreau is really your only blocker, and as far as I know, he's not an incredible blocker. I know Waller's gotten better, but I was thinking a third tight end, someone who could come in, because they used Witten, Moreau, and Waller quite a bit last year, but we're doing it again. I saw someone available, and it just makes too much sense with all the guys you have on 1-year deals at the position I talked about it earlier, at interior defensive line. Talked about him earlier in this video too. I think he's a good scheme fit. You could use him in a hybrid defense and as an interior 4-3 defensive tackle. I think he reminds you of a lot like Jonathan Hankins. So if you like Jonathan Hankins and want to move on from him, I know you just picked up Solomon Thomas, David Irvin, Jonathan Hankins. I'm assuming David Irvin's not going to make the final roster. I could be completely wrong. I think they're giving him a chance, but I don't think he's in their long-term plans at all, or even for the season plans. I think they're going to give him a chance, see if he can return to what he was before all this stuff happened. I take him a lot in these drafts, but that's because I believe so much in him. Like, he is a guy who I fell in love with his junior tape. I would have taken him in. He was a top 10 pick in the 2020 draft for me. But we're in 2021 now. I know that's like such a fall off. You get worried, but it was such a weird year. I'm gonna take Marvin Wilson. I keep trying to come up with different things to say about him. Every video I take him, there's not much to say. Like, he's a great player. I feel like I'm taking him so much in these videos, but that's because he fits in a lot of people's schemes, and he's very, very good. I'm in love with this Raiders draft so far. I'm gonna be honest. I'm in love with it. Alright, with this pick, I'm going to go with a bit of a weird... Oh, should I take him this early? Never mind. Hold on. Never mind. Rewind. Alright, with this pick, I'm going to go with a guy I talk about a lot. I feel like more comfortable taking him. If we don't have... Oh, we have a pick in 5 picks. Never mind. We're good. I'm going to take Drake Jackson. If you did sign Nick Martin to a long-year deal, he's the perfect guy to go behind him. You could eventually probably cut Nick Martin. If Drake Jackson, you like what you see, I think he had a good Senior Bowl. I liked what I saw out of him there. And I liked what I saw out of him just in the season in general. I think he's one of the top centers. I mean, obviously, if you get drafted, you're one of the top center or players at your position. But I think he's probably top 5, 6 at center, unless I'm forgetting people. Let me go into your O-line and show drafted. Creed Humphrey... Yeah, I'd say he's probably the 4th guy, unless I'm forgetting someone. Like, as a true center, it'd go Humphrey, Myers, Green, then Jackson. I'd say he's probably the 4th guy in round 5. That's not bad. I want to know if we have another pick before I take this guy, because it's kind of early. Alright. Alright, according to what I just looked at, they have a pick at exactly 200. If they don't, I'm going to be mad. Who do we go here? Chauncey Golston. You know what? Chauncey Golston is a pretty good scheme fit for the Raiders. He's a 4-3 defensive end. Not much of a pass rusher, so you won't use him on 3rd down. Probably more of a guy you use 1st and 2nd down as a rotation guy to get guys rest. I don't think he projects as a starter, but 6th round, 5th round pick, I think it was. You get a guy to be rotational on your D line behind Ngakoue, Furl, Crosby. And pick 200, I already have my player in mind. I almost took him earlier. Good thing I checked that we have a pick. And he's available. It's going to be Nick Eubanks. The reason is they have 2 tight ends in Waller and LSU tight end, Foster Moreau. Nick Eubanks is a huge athlete. You could use him in the red zone, but I don't think he's used in the red zone at all year 1. I think he's more of a developmental tight end 3 that eventually turns into tight end 2 for you. He can block, and like I said, he's going to line up really well on the line next to another tight end and going short routes, intermediate routes, as kind of like a blocker first, route second kind of tight end. But he can be effective in routes developing. I mean, he's got a good, decent-sized ceiling. I don't think he's going to be top tight end ever, type 6th round tight end like Shannon Sharp or something, but I think he's a good pick in the 6th round. I like him a little bit. I live in Michigan, so I do see a fair bit of Michigan games. Just seeing him on TV may have influenced that. I'm a State fan, but I still see him on TV. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this draft. That's all the picks we had. I'm going to be honest, I'm really satisfied with this draft. And the Eagles have a lot of 7th round picks that I didn't know they had. I guess they got these from compensation and Marquise Goodwin, I think they got to pick back. Kane, I love that. But anyways, we'll wait till we get to the end and see who we all drafted in the summary. All right, so I talked about it in the middle of the draft. I really liked this draft if I was to be a Raiders fan. I like Tevin Jenkins to be your starting right tackle of the future. I like Javon Holland to be your center field safety of the future. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown after 1 year to be kind of your big receiver. Not big, but you get the point. You have 3 guys under 6 foot right now, I believe. You need someone with more size. Pete Werner, I think, is a great Sam linebacker for the Raiders. Marvin Wilson, I talked about him enough at the pick, but I'll talk about him again. Great 2019/2020, and then terrible 2020/2021. I had him as a top 10 pick prior to this season. I thought he was going to be the top interior D lineman off the board. Has completely fallen, and I think at this point, you took a guy like Maurice Hurst a few years ago, who turned into a decent 4th round, 5th round pick, I think it was. I know he had a heart condition, that was more it, not talent, but Marvin Wilson's a guy who has the talent. I always turn on his 2019 Boise State tape. It might be 2018, but I think it's 2019 for sure, where he just absolutely dominated Boise State. He dominated Edge of Cleveland. He dominated the interior O-line of that team. And that's a guy I always look back to. I think first 5 picks are incredible in this draft. Drake Jackson, developmental center. Chauncey Golston, developmental edge. And Nick Eubanks, developmental tight end. Normally, the last 3 picks of a team's draft are kind of like you hope you hit on them, but if you don't, it's not like a end of the world thing. But first 5 top 120 picks, you get these 5 guys. I think that's an incredible draft for the Raiders. I really do. Now, obviously, I'm making the picks myself, so I'm going to like picks. But there's sometimes in drafts where there's just players not available at positions of need. These are all positions of need that all fit schemes. Like, these guys can play in the Raiders scheme. And I'm not worried about scheme fits with any of them like I am with some players. Like, sometimes I'll be forced into taking a corner in someone's scheme. When in reality, it's not a good scheme fit, but he's the best corner available. I think the Raiders do an incredible job in this draft. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll be back tomorrow with whoever is after me at 19. Oh, okay, not the Dolphins. So it will be the Washington football team because we already did the Dolphins because they picked earlier in the draft. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I will get it up, I hope, today. I'll see you guys March 26th. Peace.